In a previous video, we bought a 1968 Case 580CK loader backhoe. The engine was locked up, it was full of water, we had bent push rods, we took it all apart, we cleaned everything up, and we got it running. Today we're going to change the injectors, the fuel filters, and some hydraulic lines that are downright scary. Let's get into it. So before we can change injectors, we have to pull all the old injectors out first. Cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4. So we got our old injector, our new injector. You can't see on camera, but they're identical. If yours are old, obviously yours will be more rusty on the stem than mine were. I had them out in the last video, so I anti-seized when they went back in. And these are the 20671 Stanodyne Rusa Master style pencil injectors. Your next step would normally be to clean the injector bores out. I already did that last time when we had the cylinder head off and I had all the injectors out. The next step, we're going to spin the engine over without the injectors with the starter. Reason being is I had 1 or 2 injectors that I believe were sticking open, so I just want to make sure that they didn't fill the cylinders full of diesel fuel and will cause a hydraulic lock when we put the new injectors back in. Our next step is opening up every bag individually, taking the caps off the tips of the injectors, and we're going to start putting injectors in. Now that the injectors are in, all the return lines are back on, everything's buttoned up. The last thing we have to do is change the fuel filters before we put the exhaust back on. This will also just drain any water off that we have in the bottom. And okay, so there's nothing in there. I have noticed this is not sealing properly, so we're gonna have to fix that while we have it apart so we don't have a fuel leak anymore. Well, that was a disaster. Apparently the fuel filter drain is plugged up with sediment or sludge or something. I pulled the water drain slash fuel drain on the bottom of the water separator and nothing came out, so I thought the system was dry because it does leak a little bit, so I thought it had slowly leaked out since I had turned the shutoff off a few days ago. This is the secondary fuel filter before the injection pump. This one just spins off by hand. So this is how long this thing hasn't had any maintenance. That's a Case fuel filter. Very rarely do people buy stuff from the dealer, especially on old machines. What shows it even better, this is a string fuel filter. These things are old and discontinued by Case quite a few years ago, so there's a new updated version, and that's what we're putting in. Oh yeah, and I can see the bottom of the filter element where the drain is, it's full of sludge. I don't know if you can see all that. That's all the sludge that's in the bottom that's stopping the water separator from actually draining. As you can see, this is the new filter. It's a steel cartridge element instead of that string filter. This is for the fuel water separator. Now we have to put the fuel filter assembly together. So there's a cork washer that comes with, because these are slightly shorter. I don't know why they've done that, but that seems to be industry standard. And then that just goes on top, and then this goes back up. We've only got one thing left to do, and that is to turn the fuel on, bleed the fuel filters, and hope that none of this leaks. Whoa! That was about 4 times the speed of the last time that I bleed the fuel filter out when we got it going. We're ready to test it out with the new injectors finally. I got a block of wood ready just in case, because it is a diesel. If it does try and take off, we can block the intake off. Because we had it running before, there's no reason the pump should want to, but you never know. I'd rather be safe. clamp that holds the PCV tube that goes down the front of the engine had moved because I had the PCV tube off, and so it was just touching the rad fan just barely. All I had to do was bend it back to where it's supposed to be. I didn't quite do it enough apparently. It's running significantly better than it was before. It doesn't have nearly that mist when I rev it up. It sounds a lot better. I'm gonna try it, see how it runs around. But before it would get up to say like 1500 RPM, and then it would like, seems like it's flooding out like a gas engine, how they flood out. It was almost doing the same thing, and I think it was because the injectors weren't pushing the proper amount of fuel in the proper places. It does sound a lot better now, even in idle. It's still smoking a little bit, but not nearly as much as it was before, and it sounds better at the end of the day. Our next project is we're going to do the fan belt, because as you've seen, this one is completely worn out. This is the front pump cover. It's a thing that protects the pump from getting smashed. As you can see, this is full of mud. This was all around the pump. This is all clay. There was basically 2 of these right full that I pulled out, but only half of it actually stayed in here. As you can see, this compartment was literally level full. It was actually heaping over the pump a little bit. The pump is kind of corroded. That's for sure. It's had that mud in there for a lot of years, but I don't think it's damaged. On these machines, you have to pull the pump off to get the fan belt off, because there's a dry shaft that goes right through from the crank to the pump because it's front mounted pump. But I put a slide hammer on it and it basically popped right off with about a dozen light whacks on the slide hammer. The hardest part was holding it onto the pump. I didn't have to build a pump puller like you normally do. This one actually came off really nicely. Everything was really greased. Someone cared about this thing at one time. Our next step is to change some downright deadly, scary hydraulic lines. If they blow, they could hurt or kill the operator, so these ones need to be changed more than anything else on this machine. After that, we have some leaking hydraulic cylinders that we're going to rebuild. I am back with new hydraulic hoses. These look considerably safer than the old ones we had before. Next, we have to pull apart every single cylinder on this backhoe. They all leak. There's 3 different seal options for every single cylinder, so we have to figure out which one we have. I have bled all the hydraulic pressure off many times to make sure these cylinders don't have any pressure. How to pick it up. Okay, take it out. The very last thing we have to do is pull these cylinders all apart, figure out which style of seal we got, so we can order new seal kits. As you can see, the rod is not in good shape. It does need to be re-rodded, but that's not in the budget at the moment. So for now, we're going to sand all the rough areas out, and it may leak a little bit, but hopefully the new seals will hold for the summer. Just get the summer out of it. As you can see, the main lift cylinder has been re-rodded at one time, so it's in phenomenal condition compared to the dipper cylinder. And just like that, our rebuild kits are here. We got to clean everything and start rebuilding the cylinder. This is the lift cylinder because it's in better shape than the dipper cylinder. We're going to do it first. You're going to hopefully see this seal go in. This is the main actual seal for this gland, and they're not fun to get in. Okay. You can see it went in. I lubed it with hydraulic oil first. They are a real pain to get those seals in. This is the actual wiper seal. This is a press-in one for this gland. So that's the gland fully rebuilt. It's that easy. The piston is actually more complex. This is a two-piece piston. As you can see, it comes apart. Really easy to replace seals in. This is basically a bushing. This is getting replaced. These are our new piston seals. It's basically all composite instead of the brass. We've got two piston halves assembled. So all you do is and that's a piston. The real star of the show will be cleaning up the really bad dipper cylinder rod so that it doesn't cut the new seal right to pieces. It does need to be replaced, but that's in the future. Obviously none of that is going to polish out. The only thing you're doing is getting rid of these sharp parts on the sides of the pits that will cut the new seals. How long this will last is anybody's guess. Yep. Okay. Not like the block. Maybe read this. Yep. This one. While we wait for the last hydraulic kits to come in, let's take a sample of the hydraulic oil and see what it looks like if we need to change it. Oh, that's disgusting. Okay, it needs new hydraulic oil. That's the first side. Now we gotta drain the second side since we have dual hydraulic tanks. This side looks a lot better than the last side did. The sludge is not there. So I think the watery sludge was in the other side. This looks more like fresh oil or clean oil. Since we only had water in one side, the one thing I did notice is the rain cap. This hole right here is supposed to be attached to this rivet right here. So I think what's going on is water's getting through here, and there's a little bit of water getting down in this tank on the right hand side, which is causing that sludgy oil to happen on the very bottom since water settles. And it's not happening on the other side because the cap is intact. So we got to fix this, and that might fix all our problems since they are joined along the front. So the hydraulic pump pulls off of both sides at the same time. So I found this lid. It's a lid off a bar oil jug that I had laying around. Since this vents right through here, the cap is just a rain hat. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some silicone on the inside, glue it on top. It doesn't fix this. It's still gonna come off. I overfilled it on purpose because both the Backhoe boom and the dipper cylinder plus the two stabilizer cylinders are all out of fluid. I know I'm going to have to probably add another whole pail because of that. So it is way over the oil level, but once we fire it up and push the air out of the cylinders, that'll go way down. And I'll probably have to add my third pail anyway, at least. You're going to see me using this sleeve right here. So what this is going to do is it's going to basically compress this piston seal so that when it goes in, it doesn't roll it back and destroy the seal like the last guy who did this job. So this is just basically a ring compressor essentially for the piston seals themselves. It's just to guide them in until they get started. I don't know if you can see, but there's a big giant slab of rock, and that was most of the problem. I couldn't get the bucket to actually dig in because it was just kind of scraping along the rock. Actually, the thing works really, really well. It's actually running really nice now that I'm getting warmed up and getting, hello dog, getting something done. Actually works really well. And I don't think any of the cylinders are leaking, but when we get back up, we'll check. This is good enough. This is a logging trail. The only thing was that birch was in the way. When I bring a trailer through here, there's only a few inches on both sides, and it was really tight. That's the reason why I want to get rid of that stump, just to make this more smooth going through. So this is good enough. The rain can move the dirt around, and I don't really care. All I gotta say is, wow, that works really well. I need to learn to operate it. This 3-stick control is definitely weird and not what I'm used to, that's for sure. It'll take some getting used to. So this is the dipper cylinder, the one I was really concerned about that was really ugly. It is slightly damp. There is a bit of moisture coming from it, but it's not leaking nearly as bad as I feared it would. So we'll see, but that was a few minute test with a bit of work and a bit of pressure on it, because it was hitting the pressure relief once in a while because that stump didn't want to come. So we'll see how the cylinder does. But for now, that's a really good sign.